Matt.
Hi, Matthew. This is Shauna.
Hey, Shauna. Sorry for that. I hate that phone system. I know too. Glad we could finally get in contact. I know it's just been crazy, and I missed most of last week. So,
hope you're feeling better.
Of course, not playing catch up. Thank you. I am almost there. I'm 85% better.
Good.
But, good enough to start dealing with all my work stuff. So not last week, but I guess the week before, sometime around then, I spent a few hours working on this, talking to a few phone conversations with United States Postal Service. I talked to our mailroom, mail office, I guess. I assume it's fairly big. I haven't been over there. And with the folks at the district clerk. So there were just a few things that I wanted to make sure that I had, that I understood before we go forward. Now, I do think the best path forward for you in terms of actually getting this thing, where it's supposed to be, is to go. They're going to need. What I've been told is that they're going to need the same document, assuming you still have it, that you mailed initially, and that was returned to you.
Okay.
They cannot accept, and this is not because of this, it's just because they're for an initial filing in a court case, it's the electronic thing, it's pretty limited, but they definitely couldn't take it by email. I think it would have to be, I guess maybe the filing, so there's these various filing systems that
right. But I don't agree with any of that, because that's a third party that has nothing to do with anything, and I don't find that that's acceptable at all, whether or not it's, free or not, because it's not free. I looked into it. And so.
Yeah, it's not free. Definitely not free.
Exactly. So how is that? That is not acceptable. That's why I went the route of, mailing it in. And look what happens after I mail it in as well. So, again, you're going to have to forgive me a lot in this conversation, but there's a lot I've already gone through. I've done my due diligence. I've done every single step that process or protocol calls for. And at every single turn, it was negated. It was debated. And I am absolutely furious. And not only am I furious, but I'm completely terrified to even be dealing with these people here, because I'm not sure if you saw before, but again, I went through every step necessary to leave. And in this situation, I sent you that email of, who was it, Connie Jefferson, who was the initial person who said, you're going to have to find out why the postmaster decided to send it back to you. Excuse me?
Let me jump in real quick. I understand where you're from. I would ask you maybe to look at the situation from the perspective of someone who actually never saw what you mailed and has no idea what you're talking about. And that is a position of people who work in the district clerk's office. And so, people are human, and I know that some of...
I understand that people are human, Matthew, but people who are human that take up job responsibilities in the public sector are expected to do such things. You know what I'm saying? And if I held that position, I would have accountability and responsibility, because I'm that type of person. If we can't hire those type of people in our government, agencies, then maybe we need to think. But I absolutely accept that people are people, humans are humans, and mistakes are made. But 5, 6 months into it, after the other person on the other end, who has already accepted that a mistake could have been made. It could have been made. Absolutely. How many steps did I have to take to clarify my mistake? And who's trying to help me on the other end? Who? No, nobody. So, again,
and I didn't see that I saw exactly what you were talking about in terms of Miss Jefferson. I saw that she was referenced, and maybe I overlooked the email you're talking about. But I've talked to Connie a few times, and she has her only concern was making sure that they successfully taken care of. That was all that she had ever expressed to me. So, if you do not want to meet with Ms. Jefferson, I'm sure I can talk to the district clerk and see who else is available to do that.
Right. I mean, it's just an overall situation, though, Matthew. It's an overall situation. Do you understand that I am highly aware that these people have been in these positions for many years, and whether I'm dealing with the little clerk on the side, that is their superior, and whether they're doing their ministerial duties or not, it is the superior who I am furious with right now. And I can easily go in there, but the matter is, it's not open to the public. That elevates that terrifiedness that I have to enter a public building with no other public person in the building. Only officials. Whatever you say goes. Whatever is done on your end. That's why I requested and require, if I am to step in to the courthouse, I will be having video cameras to record the process for my safety and my absolute security.
Okay.
Do you understand what I'm saying? I mean, you have to realize the kind of correspondence and the kind of relationship I've already had with this agency, and it's not a nice one. And in the very beginning, 6 months ago, yeah, I was calm, I was collective, I was understanding on possible mistakes, but when at every turn, the people completely just shun you, I can't. I just can't. I cannot believe it. And yes, I am terrified, absolutely in fear of retaliation from these people. So if I am in absolute fear of retaliation of these people, where can I find protection? Where can I find any kind of promise that proper process will be followed and retaliation won't follow because I've made my voice heard? That's another situation I have here. What's to say, people are telling me, oh, you better be careful, because if you're not nice, then they're not going to help you. This isn't about being nice. And are you going to help me? You are my government. The Constitution says we the people, not the judiciary. Okay? So, apologies for any kind of,
I mean, I think the fact that you and I are talking and that I'm trying to get this worked out shows that we are, because to be frank, you haven't been very nice. And you've made lots of accusations in your emails against people who are probably going to take some offense to being accused of acting improperly or
is this common practice? Does this happen often?
I'm sorry?
Is this common practice? Does this happen often, that people are just assumed to be kind to the clerks that mismanage their responsibilities on a regular basis? Are we supposed to?
No one is saying. That's my point. Regardless of what you have said, everyone still has the same goal in mind. That is, get your document filed appropriately. And
okay, so what was that comment that you just said? That of course you haven't been very nice, so no, people might take offense to it. What has that have anything to do with a court case?
My point was, you said you were told, or someone had said, you better be nice. And I was like, well,
I better be nice or else I won't find justice. That's kind of weird. I don't need to be nice to find justice. Okay? I did my due diligence. I did everything that was required of me.
Okay. my point is you haven't been, and yet I am still attempting to make sure that everything that government functions as it should, and that your document is filed. Because we are still trying to move forward with the goal, and that's what Belva is doing with the entire purpose of her office. She wants to get your case filed. Now, let me just pivot to something else at this point. Based on that, or at that point, I realized the other day that I don't know what it is you're trying to file. I have no idea what it is. I don't know if anyone looked at it after you had received it back and had talked to the district clerk's office. I don't know that anyone had looked at it. I was concerned a little bit because you had those sort of confusing emails where the district clerk was directing you to the county clerk and the county clerk was directing you to the district clerk. Yeah,
I've got them all. That was just a few. Again, like I said, those were a few of the emails that I have. I have all the emails.
Right, but there is, I mean, you know this because you've been, obviously trying to get something in front of the court and trying to do it yourself. You know that the law is just absurdly complicated, and a lot of it's very antiquated. And it's all the more difficult when it's when you're trying to do it and it's just something you're not familiar with. Because there's a lot of things I'm not familiar with. It's why I have paralegals or secretaries or what have you. But I just want to make sure
I'm very familiar with the fact that I needed to file this civil case in the district county court. That's what I was very familiar with. Okay? So is it a civil case? Yeah. Is it of a certain amount? Yeah. Is it at that jurisdiction? Yeah. And again, I told that to the court. And what did they try to do? They tried to placate me. And they said, no, I think you're actually looking for the county clerk. The county court, that's who you need to go to. Knowing that that's not at all who I needed to go to, and keeping them CC'd, I emailed the county clerk. Because, like Palacio, that case that you did, Palacio versus Stevens, how he lost his case because the court affirmed that he didn't diligently fight for his rights. I mean, get out of here. And then what, you said that before, you're like, oh, I'm an attorney and I don't see that we act in such a manner. Oh my goodness. Okay, so no, I diligently fight for my rights, and I'm sorry if that rubs you guys the wrong way. Okay, so I knew exactly where that case needed to go, and I am furious that they tried to placate me. Yeah, and you saw the email. I emailed the county. I did the steps that they wanted me to do. What did the county say? The county said, no, that looks like a case that belongs in the district court. And I said, yeah, I already know that. But this is what's going on. I did everything they asked me to do because I'm diligently fighting for my rights, Matthew.
Okay. And all I'm saying is it is unusual that there would be confusion between either clerk's office as to where something was supposed to be filed. And because you're a non-lawyer, I just want to make sure that that ultimately, when you're there and you hand it over and we finally get this taken care of, that they're not, you're not in the right, this is not the right clerk, this is not the right court, that's because then we'll be back to square one, and then we might be even further, from the goal if the clerk is not the right entity where it should be going. You're certain that
I'm absolutely certain, and I myself have been in communication with the OIG and the USPS, so I do have videotape and the signage page coming. So don't worry about that. I will show that it may be a pattern and practice of the clerk's office. Because the package has been opened, Matthew. That is a federal crime. I don't think a mail clerk is going to open a package of 300 pages. Okay? It was addressed to a certain person, and that certain person is the only person who can open the package. And it's been opened.
So let me tell you what I believe happened. I looked at the page, right, I got the signatures and all that. This was not, your package wasn't signed for by the district clerk. Your package was signed for by a clerk from the county's mail office. So he goes down, or they send one of their mail people down to pick up everything that has come in that is certified, everything that has come in, so the entire county. From the district clerk has its own P.O. box, but the address of the pickup address, the address of the person picking it up, is just the P.O. box for the entire county. So they were getting everything together. According to the post office, when that happens, the person who is taking possession of all this mail signs one thing. So it's not like they're going through and like, here's this. You're signing for this now. You're signing for this now. They sign one for everything that they're collecting. Now, and then the county's internal mail office tracks everything that has a tracking number themselves. So they had a record of this, so they received it. And their records they couldn't show me where they said, well, it went to the district clerk, and that only makes sense because that's who it's addressed to. What I am guessing happened, because the district clerk, when they receive mail, they scan it. They have no record of this being received. What I'm guessing happened is that this went to the wrong county office. I don't know where. I'm sure it occasionally happens. When someone is opening mail for a government office, especially when they're opening lots and lots of mail for a government office, they probably are going to, if something has incorrectly ended up in their inbox, they're probably, not necessarily, but I think it's there's a good chance that they will open it before they realize that it is not for them. And that's what I think happened here. I think that person then put it back in their outgoing mail to our internal mail people, who, instead of treating it as something that was internally misdirected and went to the wrong office, they got it back and they treated it as improperly sent, like the sender put the wrong address or the sender put the wrong thing inside the envelope. They believed that it needed to go back, be returned to sender, and that's what's written on the front. And so, having returned it, if they returned it to the post office, I think it then got a generic label that something being returned to sender would get when it was initially addressed to a P.O. box. Even though, of course, this P.O. box is still alive and well, and so is the county's, and there was not an actual issue of a vacant box, because you clearly addressed it to the correct office. That is my best guess as to what happened, and that was based on talking to our mail people, them describing to me what their process is, both from just doing all the deliveries, because they go around like their mailmen, that they put everything that's for like my office, the county attorney's office, into our main mail intake, and they take whatever's in the outbox, and they go about their way, and that all gets sorted and goes to either in-office mail, or it goes to the post office to go out into the world, or what have you.
So are you telling me that the agents there at the courthouse, whether it's county or district, are not aware that all filings and paperwork that is in their possession are very important, and they need to take care in that? Or are you telling me again that this is a pattern and practice of our government agency courthouse just doing willy-nilly with the public's business property?
I just think that it probably did not go to the. I mean, I can't.
I just find it weird because it's either highly ridiculously coincidental that it's just my case that has been dealt with in this manner, or you're trying to tell me that
how's it coincidental to
because if it's not a pattern and practice, if this doesn't happen often, like you're trying to say that it doesn't because we're trying to maintain that the court actually has integrity, then it's quite coincidental that it's just this one time, my case, that has happened. That's what I'm trying to say. So yes, it is coincidental that you're telling me that this isn't common, but yet it happens to mine.
Right, it would be an uncommon situation, but it's gonna. I mean, if an uncommon situation is gonna happen at all, it's gotta happen to someone.
Okay, well, whether it's uncommon or not, it's unacceptable. It's unacceptable from a government agency that has responsibilities and duties. Okay, this isn't, like I said, Sears. If I sent back a freaking item to Sears and they were like, oh, sorry, we messed it up in our mail pack. Okay, fine. That's fine. I don't expect Sears to be on par with the absolute expectation of governance. Okay? Again, I can absolutely understand and accept mistakes happen. Humans are humans. But these humans need to understand what their position is. Okay? This isn't Sears. This isn't accidentally, we showed no care or concern in our job duties and we completely lost the ball and your package came back to you. And we will have a beautiful statement of plausible deniability through our county attorney, Mr. Etzminger, but it's unacceptable to this, what you call non-lawyer. Okay?
Okay, so I fully agree with what you're saying. But I assume you agree that it's not, mail in particular, I have problems with my mail all the time, but it's an unfortunate situation. I don't know how many petitions are received by mail. Most are not. Most are electronically filed because that's what our rules require, but at least for a law firm or, a licensed attorney or whatever.
Right. Those who have the privilege, to skirt about in the judiciary. Whereas us, what you call, non-licensed, non-lawyers? Do we not have access to the law? Do we not have access to justice, Mr. Esminger? I mean, that is very questionable to me.
I'm just saying I don't know how many they receive.
Well, regardless how many they receive, whether it's 1 in 50 years, they have a mailbox that is exactly for that, to receive mail to them. I don't want to be, coerced into using a third-party system where you claim rules require. No, I don't need to pay a third party to enter my court system. Is that what you're telling me?
No.
Okay.
I think you should. I mean, I fully agree with you that this should have gone. I mean, this all should have gone,
smoothly
according to your intention, and that's how we want everything to function. And unfortunately, this is a situation where it didn't. But I remain pretty convinced. Well, I'd say, if I'm being honest, I'm fully convinced that there was no
malicious intent. I don't think so. But what would the court say? Again, like I said, just like I asked in my email, if I failed to follow the rules put upon me by the court, would I be shown the same enjoyment of discretion willy-nilly to do whatever I want? No, I would have to file an appeal. I would have to do this and I would have to do that. But what does the court get to do? They get to just say, oh, it was a mistake. We're human. We make mistakes.
But what else could they do? I mean,
What else could I do? What else could I do if I didn't file timely? You guys require me to file timely, which was done. If I didn't file timely and then I willy-nilly came in 3 weeks later and say, oh, well, it was my human mistake. It was just my human mistake. Would the court show me the same privilege they show themselves? Would they say, oh, it's fine, just give it to us. Just give it to us. We'll file it right now. No problem. We'll backdate it and everything. Everything's great. People make mistakes every day. Is that what you're telling me? Would I be shown the same privilege?
I know you keep approaching this backdating as if it's like helping. The district clerk is not a party to your case. They don't have other than the clerk's office has a ministerial duty to file what is given to them. There's not really, that is being done.
They don't have a ministerial duty to file what's given to them? Is that what you just said?
No, they do. What I'm saying
okay.
is the effort to make sure that this is dated in a way that does not negatively affect you.
Right, but that's my whole point. But that's my whole point, Matthew. I want it to negatively reflect the case. Because then when the court asks, what on earth is this case doing 4 or 5 months later in our court? This is unprecedented. And I'd be like, oh, that's right, court, because the clerks decided that they didn't want to accept the petition or the mail, or you guys just don't know how to manage yourself. So, we had to backdate it to reflect that the court did their proper due diligence. Is that what we're talking about? Because I would like the court to understand that I did file timely. Everything that was required of me was done. Everything that was required of the court was not. So if I were to bring my petition into the court 6 months later, way past timely filing, right? And then the court says, well, why the heck is this 6 months late? And why is it in front of us? That's unprecedented. That is not rules of procedure, correct? And then I'd be able to say, oh, well, it's because the clerks decided they didn't want to file it. And then they, shot out this huge, plausible deniability statement that people make mistakes.
Okay. You say plausible deniability, but I don't know. There's not.
It's plausible that it went into your mailbox room and then somebody opened it and then it was scanned because no one really looks at these things, and then because we didn't actually care about it, we put it in our outbox and then somebody just sent it back to the post office. That is plausible deniability, sir.
There's nothing to deny. I don't know. There's no denying happening. That's what I don't get.
Denying that the court received the package, opened it, and then sent it back. That's what you're denying.
Okay. And if you go into any court and argue that, you're not going to be taken seriously because no one will actually think that happened.
Yeah, because we have lawyers. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Continue with your coercion and intimidation, sir. Because if I were to go into a court and argue what? The truth? They wouldn't buy that.
No, the truth.
Oh.
Not the truth. You said lots of things that were based on ideas that you have that are not supported.
Sir, the truth is that a public petitioner sent in a court case to the district court. Okay? It came back to the petitioner, and the court is plausibly denying it. What on earth? And then you want to turn that on me? You want to turn that on me and say that no one's going to believe you? You're just believing whatever you want. You're just saying whatever you think. No, sir. That's not the case.
No one will believe that it was opened, read, and then returned based on whatever was inside the envelope. Because that doesn't happen.
And who's nobody? But who's nobody? Is it nobody in the judiciary or those who are cohorts with each other? Or is that the public at large? Which one are we referring to?
I'm just saying it's not going to help you to further make those accusations. Because
well, again, sir, forgive me, but I would never listen to what a licensed attorney such as yourself, who you said last time, you told me and I believed you. You said, I would never imagine attorneys acting like that. I've never seen attorneys acting in such a manner. I saw your court case where the same thing that happened to me, where an attorney filed past time and told me not to attend the hearing, and then, again, gets away frilly-nilly. And then you're a type of attorney who goes against someone like that. and then claims they didn't fight for their rights?
I don't know what you're talking about. On the type of attorney, I made an argument that something was filed untimely. That would be incumbent upon me to not make that argument on behalf of the government would be.
Yeah, you fought against a plaintiff. You fought against a plaintiff who the same thing happened. His attorney did not file his habeas in time. And then he came, and what did you guys were for the state. And you guys fought for the state and said, no, he didn't fight. He didn't fight for his rights diligently. So, please.
Yes. Right. Well, that was on behalf of a client. My client was the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, but.
The state.
Yes. Correct. So there are timelines.
So who checks the state, Matthew? I'm just wondering, because you know how like there's a big social upheaval about how police, they get to like harm people all the time and then they get away with it, you know, qualified immunity and stuff. I mean, that's kind of like judicial immunity. You know what I mean? How you guys do the same exact thing, but just under the color of law, and then you guys get away with it because you guys claim some kind of immunity, which is absurd and just beyond the scope. And so I don't really care what kind of games that you want to play with me. I'm a real person in the real world, and I'm fighting for my rights in reality. Okay?
I don't want to play any games. I am only been trying to make it so that your case is not negatively affected by.
You're not. I mean, I really appreciate your help. I really do. You know, it's not like I wouldn't stop there. I'd keep going. So I do appreciate your help, and you won't be on any kind of list that I'm going to be taking to federal court for constitutional violations. Okay? Because you are quasi assisting me, even though you are keeping me at bay for the state. I mean, do not think for 1 second I don't understand where your, obligations lie. So don't think that I think that you're out here trying to actually help me find justice or anything. I believe that you're out there trying to do your job, which is represent the state and its non-diligence in its obligations and duties at this point. So again, respectfully.
It's of course, and it's good, and yes, you absolutely should recognize that I'm talking to you on behalf of my client, who is the Travis County District Clerk, and you're right. I'm not.
But as a licensed attorney, Matthew, I just want to bring you back to earth and remind you that we, the people, established government. Okay, so whether your client is the state or not, it was created by the people, and whether the state, all states came together and created the federal government, it's still the people, and all power from the Constitution rests in the people. Okay, so if you guys want to start messing up your client, the state, we don't have to follow it, okay? Because the people are the supreme law of the land via the Constitution. And I know you guys like to play in your law world, you know what I'm saying? But that's not how it works. It's unfair, and it's arbitrary, and it's getting old, So, again, forgive me. Respect gains respect. You know what I'm saying? There's an old saying that trust is gained in droplets and lost in buckets. Well, we the people trusted our government, Matt, okay? But when it does things like this on a regular basis, when we can't even find for instance, if I went to Macy's or Sears or whatever and something screwed up, and they were like, sorry, in our mail, whatever. Okay, people make mistakes. And guess what they would do? They would apologize profusely, and they would try to find something to make me happy and to maintain my customership. Does the government have to do that? No! Why? Because they forgot their role.
I think the government serves a slightly different role, but.
What does it serve? Can you clarify?
I understand. I fully get your frustration with.
That the people trust the government and the government has not come through.
No, just the situation as it would have seemed to anyone, anyone else. I mean, it would have been confounding, and I fully see how the responses you received. Now, I also know that that it may have been difficult for both sides, you and for the people you spoke with, the district clerk, to get where the other person was coming from. And I think they were coming from a position of just having no idea what you were talking about.
Well, how about pick up the phone? How about pick up the phone? How about pick up the phone? Do you not serve the people? Is this not your job responsibilities? Aren't half of you guys working at home? Pick up the phone. I'm sorry, ma'am. Can you clarify? I'm sorry, I don't understand what you're saying. I'm sorry, let me actually take 2 steps outside of my arrogantness and do my job. Let me care. Let me actually be a human and care about another human. How about that happen? Maybe?
You're not wrong. And that's an area where I think government often comes up short for a lot of people. And is that the fault of people who work for government? Maybe in part. I think a lot of it's just because government is often just not staffed, appropriately, underfunded in areas where...
Well, I don't understand that either, because I don't have a job right now, and I've been applying to every single state agency there is just to see. And no, I don't think so. So don't buy it. There's lots of people out of work right now. And if the government needs help, I'm sure they could find it.
Well, it's not a matter of needing help. I'm talking it's just a matter of where the resources are, where the money goes. It's not common for in our state where, a lot of we're told, okay, do this, and we're told, okay, now do this and more, but do it with less because, this money has to go this way, this is being allocated this way. It's just, the business of trying to make government happen, with a limited amount of funding, especially state governments. State governments can't just go into the red like the federal government does. So they have to balance their books, and sometimes that requires hard decisions. But I think what often, and that's sort of the stereotypical, driver's license bureau or something, there are just government offices that are not pleasant to deal with, and I'm just saying that I understand.
Right, but I don't understand, because if I'm supposed to respect the government and listen to anything that they have to say, they need to show that respect. Like begets like. So I don't have to listen to them just because they tell me to. All right, that's not how this world was established. That's not how this government was established. Government is good, okay, but it needs to be established in such a manner. It doesn't need to just be willy-nilly. Okay, and I understand that Texas, let alone any other state, has the worst legal situation going on. I understand that. But see, that's why I don't buy any kind of excuses, because there are other states that do run properly and sufficiently and efficiently. So, yeah.
Well, I don't believe, I do think that the Travis County, the people who work in our mail room, in our little post office, they take pride in their work, and they do want to do a good job.
And I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that at all. And I don't even have hard feelings for Connie or Velva or anything else. Where that lies is they have an official duty. They are an official. Again, they're not a customer service agent at Macy's. They are an official. And that's why I am completely upset. And that is why I do not care whether you guys like my tone or not. Because I am not a child, and I don't think that I need to be dealing with children in my government. Okay, so if they don't understand those small, simple facts, then again, I think we need to readdress.
And I haven't told you to change your tone. I haven't told you to...
No, not at all. Not at all.
Talk to me with any manner of whatever. I find it
right.
expression. But,
right.
But
I just
really, at no point have I talked to Connie or Velva or anyone over there, no one has said a negative thing about you.
Right, and I wouldn't take it personal if they did. It's just, I am upset because I did do my due diligence, and I am professional, and I am kind. I do care about people regardless of their position. Okay, so I did go in softly, kindly, over and 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 over. And when it gets to a point, I'm fed up. And that's where the tone comes in, and that's where the disrespect comes in. And if it was 6 months ago, maybe you would have talked to a different Shauna, but this is 6 months later after people are telling me you must be confused, go to the county court, go to the post office, and that's why they decided to return it. I mean, what kind of professionalism is that? I mean, and the reason why I get so angry, Matthew, is because I can handle my own, all right? But just imagine the people out there that are in fear of you people, that are scared, they don't understand their own authority. Just imagine how many people that you guys squash on a regular basis because they're ignorant. That is disgusting and pathological to me.
I don't think that is what Travis County government is about. That's not been my experience.
Your experience with the state? That hasn't been your experience within the state. So have you ever experienced the state on the other side?
Working for the state was a lot different than working for Travis County.
Right, but what I'm saying is that you are seeing it from your side. You are within the state. You are the state. Have you ever gone against the state as a private citizen? Until you do, sir, I don't think that you have any kind of say.
I've gone and appeared in front of the appraisal review board, but I mean, I'm not in the same position because
Right, and many of those who never find themselves, right, but many of those who never find themselves in this position, they also don't understand either. So that's why I'm not fazed by any kind of misunderstandings, because this does happen. This happens every day on a regular basis to regular people who do not understand. And that is what I find completely unjust. And I know this sounds cliche and stupid, but we all know one injustice anywhere is an absolute injustice everywhere. Okay? So, I understand that you're a licensed attorney and you went to law school so that you could, have the Esquire behind your name and all the cool stuff. But I have a passion for justice, for true law. Okay? And I don't care about any kind of titles or cutesities or niceties. I don't care. Okay? I'm here to find justice. True justice. Not civil procedures, not federal regulations. Law.
Well, and I hope that you do. I wish you luck with that. I know it's a challenge.
Yeah.
And that's, but it's kudos to you for taking the time to create what is obviously a pretty in-depth and involved legal document that you're just trying to get filed, and I realize that there's been nothing but frustration up until this point, but we are trying to fix that. We want that because we know the evidence is all right there in front of me. I see that you did everything just like you're supposed to, and still ended up having to deal with all this mess. Anyway. So
I guess the only other thing I wanted to clarify is if I can, because from my understanding, again, common knowledge, the courts not only have been closed, but they also block recording in them for some strange reason, the public courts. So I need to know that if I come in there and the officers with their guns and everything else, they also need to know that if I come in there, when I come in there with my cameras, that I have all the permission in the world to record my process and to protect myself from anything that may come about.
I will talk to them and find out what the
judge says.
Position is. But you know, if you have a camera on some, you know how people act if they're being recorded, especially if they're. Now, I'm not saying that this is how you're going to do it, but
right.
Like sometimes people will try to I would say aggressively record
right.
public servants,
right,
and
that is not my intention at all, and I don't even agree with that. Okay. That infuriates me as well, because that's not the way to do it if you're trying to find change. But I do understand their position in needing those devices and finding protection, because again, you know, we are led to believe that the public courts are open to the public, you know, and that officials in their official capacity serving the public should be able to be recorded in their official capacity. Again, the whole entire conversation we just had. If I went to Macy's, you know what I'm saying? They wouldn't have a problem. You know why? Because they're serving their customers proudly. We can't go into the government agencies because they are absolutely not serving their customers, not only proudly, but deceivingly, you know? So that's why we all are highly aware that we need to protect ourselves. And that's scary. That is a terroristic threat right there. If I am in absolute fear to walk into my government building to file a court case, whoa, man, whoa, is what I have to say. And that is the true reality of it. I am afraid to go there. I'm afraid that they're going to want to get all my information. I'm afraid they're going to follow me out. I'm afraid they're going to follow me home. This is what we, the people, have to deal with, Matt. And this is the new normal. This is normal. This isn't unprecedented. This isn't unheard of. This is everyday occurrences from a lot of people around our nation. So this isn't something strange. This isn't something that you guys can claim as not normal. No, this is absolutely normal. It's the new normal. And if you guys could, you know, provide the type of service that any other regular company would, you know what I'm saying? Maybe you guys would also find, you know, good relations with the people. Maybe people would start respecting government, you know? I don't understand. Maybe. So yeah, I do appreciate all your help. Yeah. Please get with whoever you need to get with to see about my recording, because I need to be recording.
Okay.
And then we'll finish it up, and hopefully, you know, I won't find retaliation in the actual filing or review of the case itself. And that's what I mean. That's what my fear is, you know.
Do what?
I'm just saying that's also, you know, an additional fear. I fear that because I'm not, excuse my language, kissing ass, that I might not find true justice, that I might be, you know, this case might go through and the judge might hear, oh, well, she's done this and she's done that, and her tone and her attitude, you know, and then the court be like, oh, okay, well, since y'all don't like her, I don't like her either, denied. I mean, that's not like I can't keep fighting it, but that's what I'm trying to express here, that's the fear that we have. You know, I don't believe that the court judge would be impartial to the situation, you know, because that's not what I've seen so far. You know, that's just from you. And again, you know, forgive me, but, you know, you saying, well, you haven't been very nice, and they may take offense to it, you know, like that shows that impartiality does not exist. Okay. So that y'all are partial to your people.
I'm not a judge. I mean, I'm not a judge, and people aren't. A judge is impartial, but you also wouldn't, you know, in court you wouldn't, there's things you wouldn't say to a judge, not because because the judge demands that you treat them a certain way, but because you're just doing what is in your own best interest, you know, because you do want your case to be taken seriously, and you do want the court to not be distracted with some personal animus towards you. And
why would the highest authority in the land have some kind of animus to the side? Why would they have hurt feelings and take action on that? That is exactly what I'm trying to say.
Because they're people. Because you're talking about people.
Okay, right? Well then we need to take this power that we rely on from the people. From these people that they claim are people, because I'm a person. I'm a human. And like we just got finished discussing, if I were a judge, even if somebody came and called me the asshole of the earth, I would be impartial, because that is what the law requires. That's not what the feelings police said. That is what true justice requires, Matthew. And this kind of conversation only confirms, validates that fact to me. That is scary.
I'm saying what's common sense, and that is you wouldn't go out of your way. Like some people act in a way that would suggest to me would suggest they don't have common sense. But
Right. But what I'm saying is I wouldn't act without common sense. If I was in a courthouse or if I was this or that or the other, just like with this whole experience, I did not come in willy-nilly screaming brains. I was very kind and professional.
When I said you weren't being nice, my whole point was, and yet you are, as if I am bound to determine that you will get the outcome that I set out to give you, and that is that this, document will be filed with no negative consequence to you because of, our screw up with handling the mail.
Right. But again, to this fact though, again, like I said before, this is why I'm so passionate in this manner. Just because I'm educated and I know how to conduct myself, maybe, in a situation that requires such. What about those people who aren't? Do they deserve any less impartiality? Do they deserve any less respect? Do they deserve any less justice than I do just because I can show those standards? This is what I mean. Like, this is the true underbelly of what law is. Okay? Because any fancy pants lawyer or rich person who wants to do whatever they want to do, we already know that happens. But in reality,
in the grand scheme of things, I'm not a fancy pants lawyer. I'm a government lawyer.
You're a fancy pants lawyer. If you're a lawyer, you're fancy. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not trying to be rude.
Yes, I am still sort of fancy. But
I just hope you understand what I'm saying. I respect you as a lawyer. I respect you as somebody who wants to, be lawful and find justice for those who need it. You know what I'm saying? But somewhere along the line, sometimes people get lost because they do get, the fancy titles and the fancy cars and the fancy wallets and the fancy camaraderies, you know what I mean? And that kind of steers people away from the path. And that's what I don't want to find in a judge.
Well, let me just real quick. I understand what you were saying about your fears, and I all I would say was would say to that is I don't think you shouldn't be fearful. I very strongly believe that no one would attempt to communicate anything other than what the official record to the court. No one would say anything to a judge. A judge would not listen. It's just, a judge is not going to deal in
hearsay.
That kind of, right, about someone who's appeared in front of them.
Right.
And there's just, if nothing else, it is impractical. There's just so many court cases and so many things happening every day.
Right.
The courts are dealing with so many cases that, that kind of noise is not going to reach any sort of level of consciousness. But, if you run into any sort of situation in terms of with a filing deadline or, if anything comes up with that, you have my information.
Right.
So if the court has any questions about, why it's being filed now instead of when you intended to file it, and I don't know that will even be reflected given, whatever they're going to try and finesse at the date. But I will, of course, be very responsive to anything that comes up
right.
with that, and I'll make sure to do anything within my power to express to the court, whatever court it ends up in front of, that you should not be negatively affected by any of this stuff which was completely out of your control. So, but let me find out about the recording.
Okay.
I fully hope that it will not be an issue.
Right. It shouldn't be a long time, hopefully. It should just be an in and out situation, right? Right. So it shouldn't be that long or anything.
Right, because I've already talked to them, and I know that Belva and I are on the same page in terms of what we imagine probably happened, and in turn what we agree is the proper outcome.
Could you also
let me talk to them about.
Could you also inquire on how they can receive it? Because I do have a USB drive that has the full case, and it also has digital files such as phone recordings and video. I did not include that in the initial submission, obviously, because I can't submit it on paper. I wasn't sure how I could do that because, like I said, I didn't have correct communication with anybody in any kind of legal anything. So yeah, I did have to take it upon myself. I just eliminated those portions of evidence, the videos and the recordings. But I mean, if I can just submit the USB drive, it has the entire case, labeled correctly, the petition, the evidence, everything. If that's acceptable, I could just do that as well. That would allow me to.
They'll probably have to scan it.
Okay.
Based on the paper copy of the email, but I don't think I can't say for sure, and I can't give you legal advice, but I don't think I doubt that you would be required in your initial filing to include absolutely everything you have, and especially if you have supporting records.
Right.
That's all something that if you don't get it initially in there, I would just explain to the court the limitations of filing something.
Okay.
By mail on paper.
Right.
And
I mean, I don't think it would be bear any kind of extra anything. It's just I have an abundance of evidence, and that would be a part of it. But I don't think, that was my question as well, because I understand this is just a simple judicial review for a de novo Texas Workforce Commission case. So it's not even a real hardcore case. And that's another thing that, made me suspicious about the whole situation. It comes from a law firm that I used to work for, where I believe one of the founding attorneys of the law firm was a previous Texas Attorney General. So you have to understand that you may think that this is just random, but it may not be as random as you think. So what I'm trying to say is I'm not sure, I get that. If I need to include the evidence that I have compiled, So, I don't want to overbear the judge or the court or anything else. But again, like I said, I have had no assistance. There's no legal aid available. The TRLA whom represented me before this situation, who I'm also suing in this whole entire situation because of their malfeasance. That whole, I just don't know if I need to include the evidence or whatnot, because it would be a much smaller package if I didn't include all evidence. I guess I should just include it all.
Were you not able to get, I don't really know how it works. I'm sure there are so many cases. I'm sure that just because of COVID and everything, I bet a lot of people are challenging decisions of the Workforce Commission, and I don't know if is that not something that legal aid organizations ever assist with? I'm not so familiar with.
Well, the legal aid is closed. You can't call legal aid; they're not available. There's nobody in the legal aid period to assist you. They're not open. The same thing when I called the Attorney General. His email supposedly doesn't work. The Constituent Affairs called them. Nope, it's cut off. Phone call. The telephone is cut off. I had Texas Rio Grande Legal Aid, the other, free supposed, attorneys.
That's who I would, yeah.
Well, they were the ones who were representing me, and they're the ones that caused the malfeasance. This is what I mean. I had 3 attorneys that I was going to retain prior to obtaining TRLA. Okay. And only when they found out who the law firm I worked for did every single one of them deny me at that point. And I was just like, wait, you were the one giving me advice. You were the one that was all about this. You were the one. Oh, but when I found out who it was, I can't do it. And that's why I had to go with TRLA, because I was willing, ready, and able to retain a lawyer. But no, you guys don't want to work against each other. And I've called many lawyers. Again, this is 2 years into it. So yeah, I was forced to go to TRLA because they're forced to help the unfortunate. But that's a whole nother story in itself. So yeah, I'm not sure. This isn't a coronavirus related Texas Workforce Commission case. And it was wonderful for them and my law firm that this all happened in that time frame. And I believe that was the whole reason why they did it. But yeah, so that's I don't even know. Not sure that you care, but I'm just trying to relate to you that this is why I am in fear, and this is why I'm very precautious at every turn.
As a person, I care.
Right.
I sympathize completely.
Right. I'm just saying that's why I'm very precautious at every turn. I'm very precautious because.
I get that. Yeah.
So
I get what you're saying. And okay. All right. Let me talk to them, and I will follow up by email with you. And if I don't talk to you again, I do wish you good luck, and I hope that you're able to get some sort of outcome that is satisfying.
Right.
I can't only imagine that. That sounds like you had a lot on your plate.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I do appreciate all of your assistance.
I do wish you good luck, and I do apologize for